Hi there, and welcome to Naturally Recovering Autism. I am your host, Karen Thomas, and I want to thank you so much for being here and being a proactive parent and getting the resources that you need to let your child live their most fulfilling and independent life possible. When my own son was diagnosed with autism, I was told to drug him and try behavioral therapies, and there was nothing else that we could do for him but manage his symptoms the rest of his life. But I didn't want to do that. Fortunately, my background in craniosacral therapy of now 30 years let me know that the brain can and does heal, but I didn't know that much about autism. What I did know is that I didn't want to just mask the symptoms with dangerous drugs. I wanted to find the causes and work with them naturally. And fast forward, it took me a decade and a lot of time and effort, but today my son is no longer diagnosable with autism after being told it could not happen. So I'm here to share with you valuable resources to save you the time and some of the expense that I had to spend to figure it out, and to help you let your child lead to their best results possible. Every child's level of recovery is different, but we know that children who couldn't sleep through the night are sleeping now through the night and happily. Their immune systems are now strong where they were once sick all the time. Children who were nonverbal and their parents were told they could never speak are now speaking. Children who were getting D's and F's in school are getting A's and B's. And those that were so anxious all the time and couldn't sit still and were uncomfortable in their own bodies are now calm and happy and relaxed. And they're leading fulfilling and independent lives with friends. This is what we want for our kids. So I'm here to share the resources with you so that you can get the best results for your child, the best possible. And you can start that right now with my free download of the top 7 foods to eliminate beginning today, of the top foods that are the most inflammatory and toxic that are contributing to those physical and behavioral symptoms of autism that your child is having that are making his life uncomfortable. So you can get that right now at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/7 foods. And feel free to share that with anybody you know who would be interested. And I will also link to it in today's show notes. There's, of course, a lot more than diet, but this is something you could start doing today that will begin to reduce those symptoms. And I'm happy to share everything I can with you. So right now, let's dive into today's episode. Hi there, and again, welcome, and thank you so much for being here and being that proactive parent to get the resources you need. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about detoxification once again, but this is going to be more specifically on the lymphatic congestion that can happen. And we'll talk more about what the lymphatic system is, because not everybody is really aware of it. And it's got to be supported during detoxification. But further, we're going to deep dive into some health related issues that can come from lymphatic congestion, and one of them including breast cancer. And I was prompted to do this episode because one of the members of my membership program, who was helping her child with autism, wrote in and said, she had some personal things that were going on the left side of her body, and various things that I know from my past history. I've done an interview with someone on thermography that I can link to in the show notes, which is a far superior way to get a breast exam than is a mammogram. But how much the lymphatic system and the teeth are even related to things like breast cancer. And I'm going to give you some background and some research about that today, so you can just be aware of it, because it is so common. And these other health related issues that we can have ourselves and our kids from problems with the teeth and the lymphatic congestion backing up. And so, sometimes we might have a distant or another health related issue that, they just can't seem to find any answers for. And, it's so common that it can be related to the teeth. So let me back up a little bit and go into a little bit of what lymphatic congestion can do. So again, if we begin to detoxify the system without first supporting the liver, the toxins will back up into the bloodstream. Now, these toxins affect multiple systems of the body, including the brain, and we can become quite ill from these things. Viruses, bacteria, fungus, They all use undigested food and waste as food. So the liver has to be able to remove these toxins, these damaged cells, and other waste material from the body. Now, as we know, children with autism often have a congested liver, right? So excess toxins also congest the lymph glands. That's lymph, lymph or lymphatic, which remove cellular waste and keep the immune system healthy. The liver and the lymphatic system have to be able to feed nutrients to the cells and remove their debris. Now, we know that 80% of the immune system comes from the gut. This is a scientific fact. The reason for this is largely due to the lymphatic system's association with the intestines. So, lymph removes cellular and metabolic waste or toxins from the body. When the blood flow in the liver is congested because of gallstones or different various things, the lymphatic system backs up and causes toxic buildup in the body. Now, this stresses the immune system further as its waste removal is inefficient. It's not able to get them out fast enough. The health of the lymphatic system is crucial for a healthy immune system and a healthy circulatory system. So when the liver cannot filter the toxins properly, then the blood and lymphatic fluid become toxic. So our system that is supposed to be helping us remove toxins is backed up, congested, and now it's loaded with more toxins. And this toxic debris can become stagnant and cause a myriad of health issues. So it stands to reason that it's important to keep the lymphatic system healthy and therefore the liver healthy in order to have a healthy immune system and assist proper detoxification to fight disease. Now, we talked about methylation, MTR, and MTHFR gene mutations and things like that in our last episode. But it's important to know that sometimes these gene mutations and this detoxification factors aren't working well because of what we're talking about today. Further, the endocrine or the hormonal system is often weakened. So again, it can affect the hormone system. These include things like the thyroid gland, parathyroid, the adrenal glands, which handle stress, ovaries, and testes. The tonsil, spleen, and the thymus gland are also commonly affected. The toxic debris, again, is stagnant and creates a lot of issues for us in our health. So here are some common initial symptoms of an improperly working lymphatic system that you can look for. Middle or low back pain, a swollen abdomen, that Buddha belly, right? Swollen hands, arms, feet, and ankles, and a puffy face. These are all common signs. And in note, we're going to talk a little bit. I've discussed in a recent episode as well, parasites, which are a huge issue for us and our children with autism, and candida, which can both be factors also of that swollen abdomen, which are also slowing down the lymphatic system. So you can see how this all sort of is like a domino effect. They start to affect each other. So that's why we work with everything, all of the causes. We don't want to just mask symptoms ever, because then you're not really taking care of the problem. You've got to get to the cause. So some of the multiple chronic illnesses that are associated with lymph congestion can be irritable bowel syndrome, brain disorders, and memory loss, respiratory issues, asthma, bronchial and lung problems, back pain, vision and eye trouble, kidney problems, circulatory problems, heart disease, dizziness, ovarian cysts, sinusitis, sinus issues, allergies, thyroid issues, a stiff neck and shoulders, headaches, migraines, earaches and hearing problems, vertigo, and breast cancer. Lymphatic blockage affects breast cells. So I wanted to share with this a little bit because so many women today are affected, and I want you to understand possibly why, and also that there are things that you can do about it. So of course, working with the lymphatic system, but let's take a little deeper dive here. So the truth, and coming from many years of research and thousands of studies, and I'll link to a couple of them, is that root canal filled teeth always remain infected. So no matter how carefully the procedure was done, or how good the teeth might look or even feel, there is always bacteria still remaining in that pocket where that root canal was. And these bacteria travel throughout the body. There are meridians in the body that carry them, and they get backed up in the lymphatic system. So each tooth, this is my craniosacral background coming in. I used to have this giant chart on my wall, and I'm going to link to a meridian dental chart in the show notes for you to see, because I want you to really understand this connection between each individual tooth and various organs in the body. Each tooth is related to an acupuncture meridian, which is related to, again, various organs, tissues, and glands in the body on that particular meridian, which is also kind of termed as an energy highway. Okay, so that's what really meridians are. The meridian pathway from a specific tooth can indicate a health issue related to that specific tooth. So again, I will link to a meridian tooth chart in the show notes for you, because I really find this work very fascinating. The teeth have so much to do with our health, and we know that children with autism very commonly have problems with their teeth for multiple reasons. They, leaky gut and various reasons why their body is not absorbing the nutrition from the food that they're eating properly, pathogenic bacteria, parasites, again, candida overgrowth, various things that just also rob the minerals from their body. So the body needs minerals for all of its other actions they're crucial. It will rob from the teeth and the bones. And so the teeth get weak. There's also the mold biotoxin illness, which I've talked about in the past episodes. This creates a staphylococcal infection in the sinus pathways, which not only gets into the brain, but it also drips down into the mouth and rots our teeth. So very important. Just wanted to throw those things in there. I've done episodes on those in the past. And it's important that you understand the connection with the teeth and how much it's important to take care of them. Now, I'm going to also give some other resources here. You don't want to use fluoride. Fluoride is a neurotoxin, just like mercury is, and just like aluminum is. There are some natural things that you can use. But I want to go further into this piece about root canals real quickly here, because root canal filled teeth always remain infected, again, no matter how carefully the procedure has been done. And that harbored bacteria may stay contained for a period of years in a healthy individual. Now, there's a man, Dr. Weston Price, who was brilliant. He's got books out. And he's a world-renowned dentist and a nutritionist who was one of the first to study the connection between dental decay, nutrition, and physical degeneration. And he discovered when these same people suffered a severe, stressful event or illness in their life, that they rapidly became ill with a degenerative disease, and cancer being one of them. Now, Dr. Thomas Rau, and I will link to both of these people in the show notes for you. Dr. Rau is recognized as one of the leading physicians in the world today. Dr. Rau looked into the records of 150 of his breast cancer patients. He found in his own research with his own patients that 147 of those 150 people, 98% of them, had one or more root canals on the same meridian, on the same side of their body as the original cancer tumor. So Dr. Rau had been led in his investigation as a result of reading the book Root Canal Cover-Up by Dr. George Manig. This was published in 1994. This is very commonly, I have to be discretionary to say hidden, but it is. The dental industry doesn't really want us to be aware of these things too much, because there's a big financial effect on them if people stop getting these root canals. But remember that when you go to any doctor, you are hiring him or her. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Call ahead, ask to speak to an office manager or someone who knows the procedures of the office. In dentistry, it's important to be assured that the doctors not only use mercury in their practice, the removal of mercury amalgam fillings must be done correctly so the body is not additionally toxic. I'm going to be doing an episode on that in the very near future because there's a lot to do with that. Mercury amalgams in a mom's mouth in your fillings will actually be released into your body, and not only you have the mercury toxicity, but your the fetus, your baby, is also getting affected by mercury in utero and born with mercury toxicity. um, but you need to know if the doctors have proper waste procedures for these toxic metals, that they're really, doing all the proper things. So remember again that teeth are connected to these energy meridians in your body, and that distal pain or systemic illness can be a result of problems associated with your teeth. So just know this and be aware of it, because the heart and the lungs are directly related to them. And it's very, very common to have lung or heart problems with dental issues as well. There's something called a panoramic X-ray or a pano X-ray, which is maybe needed for further examination. And also beyond that, if you're getting a regular X-ray, doctors should only use digital X-rays, because digital X-rays emit 90% less radiation than analog X-rays. Now, if a cavitation, which is another new word possibly for you, a bacterial pocket under the gums has formed. Now, this may be from where you've had a past extraction. That pocket will be a bacteria will be held in the body, and the immune system is constantly trying to fight it. So the immune system starts to wear down, gets weaker and weaker, and it can really be a problem. It'll also compromise the blood supply to the affected bones and teeth. The blood vessels here are very small, and so that it's easy to squeeze them off. This inhibits recovery. So most traditional dentists are not trained in how to do a cavitation on an X-ray. So you want to make sure that you're going to an educated biodentist. Now, I will link in the show notes to a couple interviews I've done with a couple very good biodentists in the past that will give you a lot more deep dive and education on all of this as well. But I'll also link to resources in the show notes, how you can find a good biodentist, because it's really important to make sure that you're going to somebody who's really skilled and educated in this, and not all of them are. So jumping back into lymph nodes themselves, where are they on our body? So lymph nodes are nodules. Sometimes you can actually feel when one is backed up, especially in the groin area between where the crease of your leg comes forward up at the base of your abdomen, but at the top of your leg. It's right there in that crease, basically in the groin area. If you run your fingers down that area really gently, you might feel some little bumps under there. Those are lymph nodes, and if they're the bumpier they are, they might feel like little peas that are hard. Bumpier they are, the more backed up they are. So you can actually gently massage these areas to help open them up. Now, in the neck, they can back up the toxins into the brain. So it's important to know that to keep the lymph area in the neck, which is at the front part of the neck on the sides, but in the front sides, that if you massage gently downward, starting up at the top, like kind of almost underneath where your ears are, and then coming forward, following the sternocleidomastoid muscle, that large muscle you'll feel there, kind of angles forward in your neck. And if you massage those, not only is it good to help drain the lymphatics, but it also opens up the flow of the cerebral spinal fluid in the brain. And what that does is both of these things are necessary for flushing out toxins from the head and the brain, which get backed up, and is very, very common in children with autism. Now, you can teach your child to do that to themselves, to massage their neck downward. It feels good. It's good to do before eating. It calms the sensory overload in the mouth. So if you've got a picky eater or a sensory overload child, that can be calming. They can do it to themselves even in school to help think better. Because if you notice when you do it, if you do it to yourself right now, you'll notice within seconds, I can always feel it right away, that my mental clarity even feels clearer, like right away. Like it really makes a difference. It doesn't require any deep tissue work or anything like that. You want to actually be pretty gentle with any of the lymph areas when you massage them. But opening those up is really helpful. Also, parasites are known to live in the lymph glands, so it's especially important. The worms can harbor right in the neck in those lymphatic system and congest things even further. So again, proper parasite removal is important, and I will link to an episode I did on that in the past. Um, so massaging these areas again can help break down or remove this debris. I've talked about the neck and the area in the groin. There are two other areas. One is sort of at the front of your armpit. So right kind of where your pectoralis or chest muscle is kind of meeting your armpit, or kind of right in your armpit. That's another one that you can gently massage. And then there's an area just over and above the belly button on your abdomen right there. Liver massage is also really, really helpful. Now, all of this is really good, of course, with any detoxification protocol. And as you're helping your child detoxify, if you massage your liver, which is just under the right side of the rib cage. So if you're on your right side of your body, and right where the rib cage ends, underneath it, where it meets the soft tissue. Of course, if you massage on top of the rib bones, you're not going to get to the liver just as well, and it's sort of right under there. So if you reach into that little crevice underneath where the soft tissue starts, and you just massage that portion of the abdomen, or that muscle and that tissue there right underneath the right rib cage, that can be really helpful for starting to help flush out the liver, and help that area as well. Because our liver and our lymphatic systems, our liver's our main organ of detoxification, and the liver and lymphatic system are our main levels of detoxification. So that's really important to know. And again, I like to give you solutions to be able to help the body as much as possible, and do this for yourself as well. Another thing that's really good and kind of fun, definitely fun for kids, and I have a small one in my living room, those little rebounder trampolines, or any form of a trampoline. They assist the lymphatic system via that gentle motion of gravity on the internal organs. So each time you jump and it's a soft landing and you're having that motion in your body, that actually helps some lymphatic drainage. So again, although massaging in these regions can assist the removal of lymphatic waste, the body has to be able to kind of complete the excretion. So this comes from, again, some liver detoxification and cleansing, of course, some binding agents, minerals to help support the detoxification pathways. Glutathione as a supplement is a master antioxidant. And I'll link also in the show notes to the episode I did on phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detoxification, because there's a lot to know too. You don't want the liver to be stagnant, especially if you're working with detoxification. You want to make sure that you're really supporting these parts of the body, both the liver and the lymphatic system. So again, always starting with proper diet is absolutely crucial. You know how big a proponent I am on the right diet, and I will link to the free download I have for you for my 7 foods guide for the top 7 foods to eliminate from your diet, your child's diet, to begin reducing inflammation overload, to begin removing the toxic debris because of the toxic overload that it puts in, and start to heal up the gut for many of the reasons that we've talked about in today's episode. So that direct link is naturallyrecoveringautism.com/7 foods. And please feel free to share it with anybody you know who could benefit from it as well. I will link to it in today's show notes. as well as give you some links to some biological dentists that are resources that you can get, and to some of the other episodes that I have mentioned earlier that also support what we discussed today in today's episode. So again, taking care of the lymphatic system is very important. And if you or you have girlfriends, moms, sisters that have had any issues with breast cancer, please share this episode with them so that they have some understanding and education and knowledge to look into further, to look at some natural resources and some things that they can do for themselves as well. And to also for people to know about prevention, because we, of course, want to prevent things before they happen. We don't want to just wait for them to happen. So also, I had talked a little bit, about not using fluoride. I forgot. I'll do an episode. My next episode I'll do on some mercury amalgam fillings and some natural resources. Again, you don't want to use fluoride. It's a neurotoxin. For toothpaste, there's some xylitol is a very good product that when we use on our teeth, it actually fights the bacteria that causes cavities. So that can be helpful too to know. But again, I will go into that in a further episode. I just wanted to cover the lymphatics mostly today, and these forms of detoxification to help support the liver as well. But also giving you an education about the breast cancer and the organ and tissue relation of things in the mouth. So I hope this has been helpful. I know it's been kind of a mouthful, a lot of information, but I think it's really valuable. And I like to give you resources and solutions to help you live the happy, healthy life that you deserve, as well as taking care of your child with autism, because they need us around as much as we're working to help them, right? So it's everybody taking care of the whole family. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Thanks again for being here. I appreciate you and what you're doing for your child. And I look forward to seeing you soon.